is right now we're focusing on things like the trial experience. We want to improve the trial experience, and which is the first thing on the list. Sorry, my notes are gone. This thing sucks. Well, that's right. No, maybe. Anyways, the trial account improvements. So our goal with this is to increase the number of people who, we have a lot of people who try our game, not all of them even remotely convert to paying subscribers. And so we want to improve the percentage of people that try the game and convert to paid accounts. So that's like the main goal of this. Along with that is to improve, along with that and to help that, we want trial users to better understand what they can and cannot do. For those that never played a trial account, trial accounts have certain restrictions over regular accounts aside from the just time limit on them. There's certain things they can and cannot do. We want to make that very clear so that they know what they can and cannot do, right? And we also want to review all of the restrictions. The restrictions on trial accounts right now were put in place many, many years ago and haven't really been looked at since, so we're doing that and possibly removing or adding other restrictions. And as I said, overall just sort of improve the trial experience for people in the client. One of the first things we've done for this is when you're browsing the market, we now better show you what skills or ships are restricted. In this case, that skill, you cannot train that on a trial account. So we make that, we used to say it, but it was like really terrible, the same color. So we've changed the color of the text and things like that. Very subtle, but it's a bit of an improvement. When you're looking at a ship, we'll now show you what skills you cannot train on a trial. So if you're looking at this as a trial user, you'll be able to clearly see that, okay, I want to fly this, but I can't because I can't train this skill. And that little E you see on there, you'll be able to click that and it'll take you to subscribing, basically. The ISIS, we now specifically on the ISIS show you what ships you cannot use, and again, when you hover over them, we show you what skills you can't train that's causing you not to be able to fly that ship. The skill queue, or not necessarily the skill queue, but skills in general, will show you just when you're looking at all the skills on an account or for a character, what you can and cannot train on trial accounts. And again, the E, you can click on it and get more information. And we've carried this over to the industry UI. And again, for ships on the market, that little orange icon will indicate that you cannot train. So overall, just as CCP Seagull had said in the keynote, a lot of just sort of quality of life improvements to try and make this experience better. Trial accounts will be getting a new restriction, well, not necessarily a new restriction, but carrying over the current restriction of the 24-hour time limit on skill queues. Trial users can now join Faction Warfare. They can add fleet adverts. They can send ISK. They can send ISK to a corporation. They can trade ISK. And you can use all levels of agents. I believe you were restricted to level 1 and 2 agents before, whereas now you can use all of them. We've unrestricted most science skills, so you can train most science skills. You could fly in incursions before, but you actually wouldn't get paid for it. Now you'll actually get paid for it. And when you click that little E icon that I'd shown before, this is the window you'll see. And it very simple. Right now, if you ever run into something like you try and join Faction Warfare and you can't, you get a window that's like a bunch of white text that looks like any one of our other pop-ups and is not very nice. This is a little bit nicer. You can click the Tell Me More button. It'll take you to our website, tell you all the benefits of subscribing and that kind of thing. And this stuff's coming in Phoebe. So the goal of this, as stated at the beginning, is to try and increase the number of people that are converting from trials to paid users with the hope of giving you more people to shoot at. Right? PvP. Woohoo! This is a fun one. And when I first wrote this, I just wrote name Purge, and some people were like, wait, what? So it turns out that if you look at all of the lapsed trial accounts, so these are people that have never once paid us a dime of money. They just created a trial account and created a character and never did anything much more. There's 6.5 million names taken up by those people. So we're going to take them all back. Yes, taking names back for the glory of us. and you. So that's pretty straightforward, and that'll happen in December. So it'll be all trial accounts lapsed more than a year ago. For now, it's a one-time thing. We might look at doing it more often or on a regular basis for trial accounts. At this time, we are not looking at touching people that have paid us money or activated their account. We may change that in the future, but for now, no. The team, I've joined Team Size Matters recently, as I said, and my focus on the team is third-party developers, which is a first for CCP. Having someone dedicated to it, so that'd be me. Woo! Back in 2012 at FanFest, we showed this slide at a keynote, which said we'd have Crest out like by summer, and it would do all this stuff, and you'd have a developer license. And it's been 2.5 years, and that didn't really happen. So at FanFest this year, 2 years later, I showed this slide, which was sort of our goal going forward, our little timeline for Crest and the SSO. And I'm happy to say that we followed through on this pretty much exactly as we said we would. And the goal of this was to do things in smaller chunks and just get the ball rolling, which we have done, so yay. I know, right? And just sort of, so reviewing what's happened since FanFest for third-party developers, we got the SSO out on Sissy for a limited number of people. That went pretty dang well back in July, but it was just the first step. We then got the SSO onto TQ, again for a limited number of people, but this was like super exciting for us. It was like glorious. And then we opened the SSO to anybody who wants to use it on Sissy, and that sort of happened a couple weeks ago and is ongoing right now. From the time we opened that to the time I wrote this presentation, 70 applications have been created on the SSO on Sissy. So for us, that was a really good sign showing that people were interested in the SSO and doing things with it. But now that that has come and gone, it's we got to look forward as to what's coming next. What we want to do is get the SSO to everybody on TQ, so that not just Fleet Up and those guys can use it on TQ, but anybody. And we're hoping to do this, well, it was kind of supposed to happen on Thursday or Friday, so hopefully early next week. It'll be live on TQ for everybody to use. Yeah, I think that was my phone. Once we have the SSO on TQ for everybody, the next step for us is getting Crest itself on Sissy. We'll do this in a bit of a limited, not necessarily limited, but a little bit of a hacky way, sort of like we did the SSO trial on Sissy, in the sense that anyone who wants to participate in this limited trial will just contact me and I'll give them access to Crest on Sissy. There will be no restrictions on it, just you have to contact me and I will do it. When we put this on Sissy, we'll hopefully have contacts and standings management in there and mail and possibly some others. I need to have a bit of a review as to what we can put on there and what we can maybe develop in the next few weeks and to get out there. The one thing I want to stress though, whatever we do put on Sissy for testing of Crest, may not, there we go, may not be what makes it to TQ. We may give, we give you access to the contacts, standings, and mail management via Crest on Sissy, but we may only do standings and contacts on TQ. We need to see how this goes. It's a trial for, reasons of being a trial. So that's all pretty straightforward. And this, for people that are maybe not familiar with Crest, means that on Sissy, you will be able to, outside the client, change your contacts, change your standings, send an email, and that kind of thing. So if this goes well, hopefully we'll be able to do that from your phone or other app outside of the client on TQ at some point. So as I said, Crest access on Sissy. Hopefully, my hope is later, like in the next week or so, when I'm back at the office, just start doing it. And then after that, we need to get TQ. And for TQ, we're not really willing to give a date for that yet. As we did at FanFest, we're talking about the next step, and we'll follow through on the next step, and then look forward at a date and time for the next thing after that. We don't want to promise the whole world and wait until the whole world is done being built before we deliver it. We'll do this in small chunks, as we've been doing for the last little while. The bottom line, though, and I know this is not very exciting for maybe some of you, but anyone who's been a third-party developer with us for the last few years has been waiting for Crest. I remember FanFest just this last year. I went into it and I was chatting to some people on IRC, and they were telling me how they'd given up on Crest. They never expected to see it go anywhere, and every time they heard Crest, they just sort of rolled their eyes. But at this point in time, I'm fairly confident in saying that, you know, it's happening finally, but it is happening. So this is for third-party developers, this is a pretty damn good time. The final thing I'm going to cover that Team Size Matters is working on, this is not happening anytime soon. This is not happening in Phoebe or anything like that. But we decided that as a design department in CCP that we needed to review a lot of areas of EVE. And one of those areas was what happens when you die, when your ship blows up, when your pod is blown up, all those sort of things. What happens at that time? This is the first line, not the first line of the death penalty section in the EVE game design document. When it was originally written, it said death is a serious matter. That's something we still believe in. We do not want this. We don't want to really change that. We want it to mean something when you die. But we decided that, you know, with that belief still in mind, that we should review all of this information. So we began looking at basically everything, as I said, and what happens when your ship is blown up? What happens to your modules? Are we happy with the 50% drop rate? Does that need to change? Should it maybe change? The insurance on your ship payout, the cargo, again, that's a 50% drop rate. Do we want to change that? Our result of looking at all of that was that we're fairly happy with it. It's in a pretty good state. Some people could argue that certain changes need to happen, but overall, we're happy with it. The other thing that we looked at, though, was the pod. When your pod is blown up, what happens then? Right now, you lose any implants you have. There's no way of recovering those. If you haven't upgraded your clone, you lose some skill points. And then once you're died, you upgrade your clone again. So you've lost some ISK as well there. When we reviewed this part of it, piece by piece, we were again happy with implants. They're a decision for players to make. There's good choices there. You can choose to put implants in. You have a variety of choices of implants and all of that. That, again, we're happy with. Changes could maybe be made, but overall, we're happy with it. When you die and lose skill points, and thereby causing you to buy, or you've bought a new clone, so you've spent ISK, there's not much choice there. Once your pod is blown up and you respawn, you always upgrade your clone. Either you upgrade your clone or you forget, or maybe you don't know because you're a new player and you don't know you need to upgrade your clone. There's no choice really to be made, though. No one says, well, maybe this time I won't upgrade my clone, right? Everyone upgrades their clone all of the time. So it punishes older players as well. And there's no good choices. It punishes older players because the more skill points you have, the more it costs to upgrade your clone. If you have a 150 million skill character, undocking your pod alone is, 10, 20, 30 million ISK. You don't want to undock a cheap Tech 1 frigate to go and have some lulls in low sec because you'll probably lose your pod and it's worth 10 times as much as your cheap frigate. And as I said, new players often just don't know that they need to do this. So we're not sure exactly what we're doing, but we do know we want to look at it. And we'll probably be looking at it for December, and we'll see what happens. We're interested in knowing what you guys think. If you guys have any strong opinions on this, on what we should do, we'd love to hear from you. But we're starting to look at this, as I said, and we'll hopefully have more information for you sooner rather than later. but we figured we should include it in this presentation and see what you guys think. So, yeah, that's kind of the end. I probably was supposed to say other stuff, but it was mentioned in my notes, so I don't remember because my notes don't show. So if I forgot things, I'm sorry. And I'll just open it up to questions, if anyone has any, which this guy does. But he's got to walk all the way around, and it's a long ways. It is, I know. I guess it's a good thing we have AC, though, so.
Hi, I'd just like to remind CCP that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and my ban should be, completely non-futuristic. No, but I probably will. First of all, you start off by saying that your team is responsible for acquiring or helping develop new players.
Yep.
But then you also continue to say that you're also responsible for several other things, including third party.
Yes.
Why do we not have a team that is solely dedicated to acquiring new players?
So, as I said, our team's goal is the growth of EVE. From our point of view, we do believe that things such as third-party developers do help grow EVE. Things like EveMon and EFT and all of those things do help grow our user base. That is something we firmly believe in. I mean, I'm sure we can argue this, but from our point of view, yeah. Yes, sorry, and as well, we're part of the growth and monetization segment. There's multiple teams in that segment, and together we're focused on growing EVE, not just our team. Yes, thank you. So, did that answer your question? Oh, that's fabulous. Sweet. If there's no other questions, wait, this guy gonna ask a question? He is.
Do you have any ideas of possible death penalties that, like, just out of the top of your head, what you had in mind for other than what's currently in place?
That's a yes. I mean,
anything you're going to tell us?
Yeah, I think it's fairly obvious, especially with the way that that this was presented, that we are considering removing the skill point loss. When you lose a clone, when you lose a pod, removing the skill point loss if you haven't upgraded your clone. Basically meaning you don't ever have to upgrade your clone. This would do a few things for us. It means that we could do other things with clones, right? But this is something that we're thinking about. It's not like there's no plan for it, and we want feedback.